I saw a snippet of an article with R.J. Hunter, who was released after the end of training camp by the Boston Celtics and then recently picked up by the Bulls and sent to the D League. And he was speaking about the stress of tryouts or training camp when he was uncertain because he was in a battle for the last spot on the roster. And that uncertainty he felt stressed as he was going through training camp. And I think this is something to remember as teams are in the beginning of the high school basketball season and going through cuts and choosing teams and so on and so forth. In one respect, seeing how a player performs under that type of stress probably has some benefit. And the player who performs better in tryouts, a stressful situation, may have some inherent advantages in a game situation. Maybe they will handle stress of a game better. Maybe they will, be able to overcome obstacles better than somebody who may not handle the stress of tryouts quite as well. But there's also the danger that because of the stress of tryouts, we miss out on a player who maybe underperforms during tryouts because they feel that stress and they worry too much about trying to do the right thing or trying to do whatever it is the coach wants to attempt to make the team rather than playing their own game. And if that player had made the team, maybe they would feel more comfortable and they wouldn't be as affected by the stress of a game. So different players may react differently, and especially when tryouts are short and decisions are absolute, we may not see the best of a player. And if that's the first time that a coach has seen those players, it's possible that the decisions might not be the best possible decisions, or the players that make the team may not be the best players. The other thing to remember about tryouts and the effect of stress is that we don't learn as well during stressful in stressful environments as opposed to a non-stressful environment. So during the period of tryouts, it's going to be difficult to teach a lot of new things, which is unfortunate because it is the beginning of the season and you're preparing for games, and you may only have a week to 2 weeks to cut a bunch of players and prepare for our first game, which doesn't give a lot of time to a coach. But if you're trying to teach a lot of things in a stressful situation, there may or may not be the same type of retention from the players as if you were putting those things in after trials are finished and the team has been established. The other part of that, of course, is the players who can pick up things more quickly in this stressful situation may have an advantage in games as well. So you may get into the stressful situation, writing up an end game play. Maybe it's the players who are able to handle the stress of tryouts and learn within that stressful situation, who are better able to see a play drawn really quickly at a timeout and then execute that play. So there's different ways to look at the stress of tryouts, the quick preparation for the season, how we learn, how we perform under these different environments. So there's many different ways to view them, and one way isn't necessarily wrong or even better than another way. But I think as a coach, we want to be cognizant of the different effects that may be going on. Whether a player is suffering from stress or a player is striving in stress, how is that going to affect the player during the season? How is the group dynamic going to affect? And all these things ultimately go into the decision on whether or not to cut a player or keep a player, and how we can create the best possible team for right now, but also retain the players who have the most potential to go on to junior varsity and varsity levels, which tend to have fewer, at least in my experience, tend to have fewer people trying out for the team. So there's many fewer cuts than at a freshman team or whatever the initial team is in the transition from middle school to high school. So again, there's a lot of factors, and we should be aware of the different factors and how stress is affecting different players, and may be affecting performance in a way that affects the way that we make cuts. And some of that may be unfortunate, some of it may tell us important things. And as long as coaches were aware of the limitations of the environment with making cuts, then I think we can make some better decisions as we're keeping players and cutting players and making those what for the player can be a life changing decision, at least at that part of their lifetime.